Well, tell me a little bit about just what it's been like being here with all of the demonstrations for and against abortion. You've got the clinic right across the street.
Yeah, it's been an ordeal, no doubt about it. It's a part of the business strategy we have to deal with, and really didn't actually, when we opened up, really didn't realize there was an abortion clinic across the street, as crazy as that sounds. And then the first Saturday it opened up about 10 years ago, we had a big protest, and I thought we had a parade, but of course, the reality of it sunk in. It's just part of the community where we're at. It's part of Fondren, and the biggest thing that we try to do is against the protesters is a lot of times, and everybody has the right to protest. I have no problem against what they believe in, but what was happening is the protesters would actually protest my customer base, and that's really the problem that we had. We just asked for some mutual respect. We're trying to make a living. I have a family, and I don't want kids coming in eating at my establishment looking across the street at some awful, grotesque pictures, and they're not protesting the abortion clinic at that point. They're actually protesting my customer base across the street, and so that's been the biggest fight that we've had to have. And and we talked to a few of the protesters through the years, and we kind of got a little. They understood, and so they worked. They stopped screaming at my customers when they're out on the deck. They stopped pointing the pictures directly at them. They started using where they were in front of the abortion protest where they were supposed to, and on the corner. But recently, with all the, I guess, it being in the media again so much, there's been a new run of protesters coming in, and just same thing, we're having to fight again. They've got the signs directly at my customers instead of protesting it properly. They're not even in front of the abortion clinic. They're on the side street. They just get the most attention, and I understand that. But we just ask that they don't point these awful signs directly at my customers while they're eating a hamburger. They're having to look at these signs. So it's a community respect issue at that point. We respect them enough where they can protest, respect us enough to make a living, making a contribution to the community in Fondren.
And the protesters eat at your restaurant.
They do. They'll come in, and so we accept all of them. We don't mind. So yeah, and a lot of the protester groups come in. They're really good, and they're good belief, and they bring them in on the weekends, and but it's those bad apples that come in and really make it difficult for the whole community. And I think it even makes it difficult for the protesters, some of the other protesters, because at that point nobody, it's so grotesque and it's so over the top. They're not doing anything but shooting themselves in the foot, and they're not getting any community support instead of doing it properly and having some respect. In America today, we're also desensitized to everything, and just, we need to get a little sensitivity back and have some mutual respect for your common man or woman.
Do you, what about the other business owners, and just are you kind of involved with the community here, the business community, the different organizations?
Sure, I've been here 10 years. You got Fondren Association, you got FAB, you've got some different groups that have really come up, and Fondren in the last 10 years has really grown, and so we all communicate, we all talk. Everybody, we try to handle this problem the best we can, and pretty much all the business community and even residential community. We have lofts on the top 2 floors of the buildings. Everybody's just kind of learned to deal with all the protests, and so but everybody kind of stay away too, because also it's so it's such a we had the FBI out here a couple years ago, doing things. They had some federal mandates that they still don't really that these guys can't do, but who's going to come out here and be on the ground and enforce the mandates that the Fed set, and sometimes that didn't get done. So you just kind of have to band together, and when the protesters get out of line, we go over there and ask them for be respectful, understand what we're trying to do here, and sometimes they comply and sometimes they don't.
People talk about Roy McMillan, one of the protesters, and just what do you think of him, and what's his style like?
Roy's been one of the main has been the main protester here in Fondren for like I said, we've been here 10 years. In the very beginning, Roy was real aggressive with our customers, a lot of screaming, a lot of hollering. But through the years, Mike Peters, that has a building too, he worked with us, and he went over there and kind of came up with a little bit of a medium to where we respect him, his ability to protest and his right and his belief, but he stopped attacking our customer base. So actually, for as far as that, the last few years, Roy's been compliant and not attacked my customer base here at Roosters. And I'm not saying Roy had some other problems with some of the other business owners across the street, because these guys are directly across and really affects them. So, he has definitely been the number one key protester in the area. And but I give Roy some credit. He's left my customers alone and stopped screaming at them. And there has been some complaints, and there's no doubt it's a negative impact on my business when he has a grotesque sign pointed here, especially if somebody has children. Somebody's not going to bring their child here to eat lunch if they have to sit across the street and look at that. And then, and then I'm trying to protect myself, protect my family, protect the employees that I have here, and also the community. So it's a real fine line. It's hard not to get aggravated, but through the years, you don't get quite as mad and quite as upset, because that just doesn't lead to anything. no positive. You just try to get with them and try to explain to them, have some mutual respect. You know, we're not coming into where you make a living. You're coming to where we make a living, and it's such a volatile issue anyway because people are so extreme on each side of that line.